Manyavar presents CNBC TV 18's Indian Business Icons, Leaders, Trailblazers, Radicals.
Welcome back to the India Business Icons. KV Kamath began his career with ICICI as a management trainee in 1971 and steadily rose up the management ladder, demonstrating his entrepreneurial skills and talent. With his innovative strategies and courage to challenge the status quo, he led ICICI's triumphant march to become a diversified, technology-driven financial services group. Here's his story.
Born in 1947, Kundapur Vaman Kamath spent most of his childhood in Mangalore. His father owned a roof tiling business and was also an active local politician. Kamath grew up thinking that he would eventually take over the family business.
My parents always laid emphasis on education. So that was, I would say, the foundation. We had a small family business, and I thought that I would go back to that business. That's what was the general thought in my parents' mind also. So I did my engineering at just outside Bangalore, at what's now called the National Institute of Technology. And up to that point in time, I was set to get to the family business, which is making roofing tiles. And this was a little distance from my college, and I used to actually look after it 4 or 5 years that I was there. So what prepared me was this business experience, nothing more than that, and a strong foundation that my parents insisted on education.
After completing his engineering studies from the Karnataka Regional Engineering College in 1969, Kamath saw that many of his peers were looking to pursue their MBA, and he applied to the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad and Kolkata. He eventually joined IMA because it was closer to his hometown.
ICICI did not come to campus in 71 when I graduated. ICICI, I think, basically asked for a few resumes, and my professor of finance, Professor Biz Icons, sent my resume down and told me, why don't you go and interview with them. So I came down here, and I remember I met all the doyens of, I would say, finance of those days, H.T. Parekh, Mr. H.T. Parekh, Mr. S.S. Mehta, and Mr. Narkani. My first mentor was Mr. Narkani, who was my head of my business, project finance, when I joined in 1971. I then had the privilege to work with him as his executive assistant. He then asked me to set up the leasing department in ICICI. He sent me abroad for a few months to understand what it was. That gave me my first technology exposure, which I brought back. But then came Mr. Vagul, and I think my education continued at double speed for the next 3 or 4 years that I worked under him. In fact, his first challenge was even before he joined ICICI. He was just in, I would say, transition. He was to join us in a month or a few days. So he called me up one day and said, I believe Air India is bidding for a very large leasing lease of planes. Are we bidding for those? And I said, no sir, they are too big for us. So he said, why should it be too big? You take a look at it. So basically from that point onwards, horizons change. He put you on a bigger platform.
In 1988, after a 17-year stint with ICICI, where he was responsible for setting up new businesses in leasing, venture capital, credit rating, as well as handling a general management position, Kamath decided to head to Manila for a stint with the Asian Development Bank. The story goes that his then boss, N. Vagul, let him go on the condition that Kamath would return to ICICI when the need arose. And in 1996, when Vagul, on the brink of retirement, made that call to Kamath, he immediately returned to India to take over as the Managing Director and CEO. Kamath's exposure to emerging Asian economies and new banking processes would help him build and scale up ICICI's operations.
Now, at the same time, we saw that there's a whole lot of opportunity happening globally in the internet space. And I was curious, what is happening in this space? How are things evolving so fast in the US? At that time, I think it was McKinsey who invited me. I was in New York for something, and they said, why don't you come by for a day or 2-day seminar on technology and how Silicon Valley works. And what I found was they work at speed. They work in unconventional ways. They work in small teams. They work in very young teams, people in their 20s. One question that I had asked, I still remember asking some of the people there is, why this mad rush to 90 days? What's 90 days got to do with it? And they said, look, we know that when we start a new idea, there are at least 100 people working on similar thought. Now, the one who is quickest to market, who can basically scale up what he wants to do, go through a beta test, go through a release, get it accepted, is going to win. So the first to market wins. So 90 days is the tightest we could do. So we are trying to 90 days. And actually at that point in time, we were building something here, which is today a well-known product from ICICI called ICICI Direct. That trading engine was being built in-house. They gave me a timeline of 2 years, and probably a few tens of crores. I don't remember the exact number. In the end, we implemented it in 90 days, and we spent probably less than 5 or 6 crores.
In the 1990s, ICICI transformed its business from a financial institution offering only project finance to a diversified financial services group offering a wide variety of products and services to retail customers. In 1997, ICICI became the first Indian financial institution to go online, and in 2004, it was also the first bank to introduce ATMs in India. But for Kamath, one of his biggest challenges and highs came in 1999, when ICICI became the first Indian firm to list on the New York Stock Exchange.
I think you got in your mind that now you can stand on your feet and raise capital as you want. Otherwise, you're going to be vulnerable to a situation where, say, the domestic market did not have enough depth in terms of your capital aspirations. So that gave you the high in terms of what you achieved at that point of time, or what the organization achieved. Equally, I think the events around the Lehman time, when people misunderstood what was our exposure to Lehman, and what the whole changing situation could do to ICICI Bank, I think that troubled me a lot, and that was a low. But I must say, even in the lowest of the lows, I could calibrate, I would say, my instrumentation on the dashboard and say, I don't see anything structurally wrong with ICICI. So I will clearly put it back on an even keel.
Over the years, ICICI Bank has also emerged as the hub for top management talent for India's banking and financial services sector. Kamath says a large part of this talent pool being women was coincidental, but making sure they work to their full potential, his mission.
One thing is, very early on, we were very clear that we will not differentiate. So when people would tell me, oh, but this is a function where people have to work late, so women can't do it, I would straight away ask the women concerned, are you concerned about working late? And they rubbished. So all decisions were, understanding other point of view, and making, I would say, just those adjustments where you feel you have to make the adjustment, but it is not discrimination. It is not. Otherwise, you run completely gender neutral organization. From recruitment, you go on merit. Thereafter, you go on meritocracy within the organization. In terms of opportunity, you make sure there is equal opportunity. Don't have any preset, mind issues where you say, oh, this cannot be done by. There are no such things. Everybody can do every job.
An industry veteran who's been recognized as a problem solver and strategist, Kamath says he has no regrets as a business leader.
I think someone once told me that through business, through life, when you change orbits, there is friction. And I've kept that in mind, because we have in an organization, ICICI Bank, just kept changing orbits so frequently. At that point in time, there is friction. Not in terms of your organization, probably in your organizational context also, but I'm not talking of that. But certainly in terms of how people perceive you, how people assess your success or failure, how you do as an organization. All these are frictional points, and I believe that that's something that stayed with me, and that gives me a lot of comfort that indeed this will pass, as will that wave of highs and lows.
Change is the only constant, and the hallmark of a good leader is one who can deal with change on a consistent basis. On that note, it's a wrap on this episode of the India Business Icons. We'll be back again with more stories next week. Till then, from the entire team, goodbye and many thanks for watching.
Manyavar presents CNBC TV 18's Indian Business Icons, Leaders, Trailblazers, Radicals.